Now, Dharma 109 takes us to the three kinds of meditation. We've talked about meditation briefly before, but what are these three different types, and how do they relate to everything else we've been discussing?
Hmm. So this Dharma highlights the fact that not all forms of meditation are created equal.
Right.
Some forms of meditation can actually be harmful if not practiced correctly.
So it's not just about sitting down and closing our eyes.
Ah,
There's more to it than that.
exactly. It's important to approach meditation with skill, understanding, and guidance from a qualified teacher. So the first type of meditation described in this Dharma is meditation with fault that leads to decay. This refers to forms of meditation that are based on incorrect understanding or are practiced with unskillful motivations.
So it's possible to meditate in a way that actually leads to more suffering and confusion.
Unfortunately, yeah, if our meditation is based on a desire for personal gain or power, for example,
Yeah.
it can actually strengthen our ego and create more separation and suffering. Or if we're practicing a technique that's not appropriate for our temperament or level of experience, it can lead to mental and emotional instability.
Okay, that's a bit unsettling, but also a good reminder to seek guidance from a qualified teacher and to approach meditation with humility and a willingness to learn.
Absolutely. Now, the second type of meditation is meditation that is a happy abiding. This refers to forms of meditation that cultivate peace, tranquility, and joy.
So this is the kind of meditation that most people are familiar with, the type that helps us calm our minds, reduce stress, and cultivate a sense of well-being.
Exactly. It's about creating a safe and supportive space for ourselves where we can simply be present with our experience without judgment or resistance.
And what about the third type of meditation?
So the third type is meditation that is entirely magnificent. This points to a level of profound meditative absorption where we transcend ordinary consciousness and gain deep insights into the nature of reality.
So this is where things get really interesting. It's like accessing a higher level of awareness, a state of deep knowing and understanding.
Precisely. It's about going beyond the surface level of our experience and tapping into the profound wisdom and clarity that lies within. This type of meditation requires a great deal of dedication, discipline, and guidance from a skilled teacher.
Okay, so we have these three types of meditation. Meditation with fault, meditation that is a happy abiding, and meditation that is entirely magnificent. How do these different types of meditation relate to the three kinds of energy we talked about earlier?
That's a great question. I think all three types of energy are essential for supporting our meditation practice. So energy as armor helps us protect our meditation from distractions and negative influences.
So it's like creating a sacred space for ourselves, both physically and mentally, where we can practice without interruption.
Exactly. It's about cultivating a sense of discipline and focus that allows us to stay present with our practice. And energy as practice is essential for maintaining a consistent meditation routine.
So it's about showing up day after day, even when we don't feel like it, and committing to our practice.
Precisely. Consistency is key when it comes to meditation, and energy as accomplishment arises naturally as we experience the benefits of our practice.
So the more we meditate, the more we experience peace, clarity, and joy, and that reinforces our motivation to keep practicing.
Exactly. It's a virtuous cycle that supports our spiritual growth and transformation.
This is making a lot of sense. It feels like we're starting to see the interconnectedness of all these different practices and how they support each other.
Absolutely. The Dharma is like a, beautifully woven tapestry with each thread contributing to the overall pattern and beauty of the whole.
Okay, let's move on to Dharma 110, which explores the three kinds of wisdom. We've talked about wisdom before, but what are these three distinct types and how do they differ from each other?
So this Dharma outlines, three pathways to wisdom, three different ways we can cultivate a deep understanding of reality and the path to liberation. So the first one is wisdom by way of learning, which emphasizes the importance of studying the teachings, listening to wise teachers, absorbing the wisdom of those who have come before us.
So it's about immersing ourselves in the Dharma, reading books, attending lectures, engaging in discussions like this one.
Exactly. It's about actively seeking out knowledge and wisdom, exposing ourselves to different perspectives, and allowing ourselves to be challenged and transformed by what we learn. And then the second type of wisdom is wisdom by way of thinking, which involves, contemplating what we've learned, analyzing it, and integrating it into our own understanding.
So it's not enough to just passively absorb information. We need to actively engage with it, question it, and see how it applies to our own lives.
Precisely. It's about developing critical thinking skills, learning to discern between, skillful and unskillful views, and cultivating a discerning mind that can see through illusion and delusion. And then the third type of wisdom is wisdom by way of meditation, which arises through direct experience, through cultivating mindfulness and observing the workings of our own minds.
So it's about going beyond intellectual understanding to a deeper experiential knowing.
Exactly. It's about cultivating a direct and intimate relationship with our own experience, seeing things as they truly are, without the filters of our preconceptions or judgments.
This makes sense. It's like the three legs of a stool: learning, thinking, and meditating. We need all three to support a stable and balanced understanding.
That's a great analogy. And these three types of wisdom aren't, mutually exclusive. They work together, supporting and reinforcing each other. The more we learn, the more we have to contemplate. The more we contemplate, the deeper our meditation becomes. And the deeper our meditation, the more profound our insights and realizations.
This is really starting to paint a rich and nuanced picture of the path to wisdom. Now, Dharma 111 introduces the concept of manifold means. What are these means, and how do they relate to everything else we've been discussing?
So this Dharma speaks to the skillful methods or tools we can use to cultivate wisdom, compassion, and liberation. It's about recognizing that there are many different paths to awakening and that what works for one person may not work for another.
So it's about finding the practices and teachings that resonate with us, the ones that feel authentic and inspiring.
Exactly. It's about, honoring our own unique journey and recognizing that there's no one-size-fits-all approach to spiritual growth. This Dharma highlights three specific means that are particularly helpful on the path. The first one is that which understands all beings, which emphasizes the importance of cultivating compassion and empathy.
So it's about recognizing our shared humanity, seeing the interconnectedness of all beings, and developing a deep sense of care and concern for others.
Precisely. Compassion is the foundation of all spiritual practice, the heart that guides our actions and motivates us to alleviate suffering and create a more just and loving world. And then the second means is that which develops the welfare of beings, which points to the importance of engaging in actions that benefit others and contribute to the well-being of all.
So it's about putting our compassion into action,
Right.
not just feeling it in our hearts, but expressing it through our words and deeds.
Exactly. It's about living a life of service, dedicating ourselves to making a positive difference in the world, however small or grand that might be. And the third means is that which awakens quickly and pleasantly, which suggests that there are methods that can lead to, swift spiritual progress. Methods that are both effective and enjoyable.
So it's not just about gritting our teeth and pushing through difficult practices, but about finding the methods that resonate with us and bring us joy.
Precisely. It's about finding the path that feels aligned with our deepest aspirations and allows us to flourish. It's about recognizing that the path to liberation can be, both challenging and joyful, both demanding and liberating.
This is a really empowering message. It suggests that we have the power to choose our path and to find the methods that best support our growth and evolution.
Absolutely. And it's a reminder that, the path isn't a linear progression. It's a spiral journey with periods of intense effort and periods of, ease and integration. It's about trusting the process, surrendering to the unfolding of our own unique journey, and allowing ourselves to be guided by the wisdom of the Dharma.
Okay, let's move on to Dharma 112, which explores the three kinds of aspirations. We've talked about aspirations briefly before, but what are these three distinct types, and how do they shape our journey on the path?
So aspirations are like the, deep-seated longings of the heart, the driving force behind our intentions and actions. They're the fuel that keeps us moving forward, the vision that inspires us to reach for something greater than ourselves.
So they're like the guiding stars that illuminate our path and give us a sense of purpose and direction.
Exactly. And this Dharma outlines three types of aspirations that are particularly helpful on the spiritual path. So the first is bound to the beautiful, which refers to, a deep longing for spiritual perfection, for the realization of our true nature, for the unfolding of our full potential.
So it's about aspiring towards something that transcends the limitations of our ordinary experience, something that is pure, luminous, and eternally fulfilling.
Precisely. It's about recognizing the inherent beauty and perfection that lies within us and striving to manifest it in our lives. And then the second type of aspiration is bound to the welfare of beings, which highlights the importance of cultivating compassion and dedicating ourselves to the service of others.
So it's about recognizing our interconnectedness with all beings and feeling a deep sense of responsibility to alleviate suffering and contribute to the well-being of all.
Exactly. It's about expanding our circle of compassion to include all beings, without exception, and recognizing that our own happiness is inextricably linked to the happiness of others. And then the third type of aspiration is purifying the Buddha field, which refers to, creating a pure and harmonious environment for the flourishing of the Dharma,
Mm.
both within ourselves and in the world around us.
So it's not just about focusing on our own enlightenment, but about creating the conditions for others to awaken as well.
Precisely. It's about recognizing that we are all part of a larger spiritual ecosystem and that our actions have ripple effects that extend far beyond ourselves. It's about cultivating a sense of responsibility for the well-being of all beings and the future of the planet.
This is a beautiful and inspiring vision.
Mm.
Makes me think about how our aspirations can shape our actions and create a more just, compassionate, and awakened world.
Absolutely. Our aspirations are powerful forces that can guide our lives and inspire us to live in alignment with our deepest values.
Okay, let's move on to Dharma 113, which explores the three kinds of strengths. What are these strengths, and how do they support us on the path?
So this term is, a bit more ambiguous than some of the others, but I think it's pointing to the inner resources we can draw upon to navigate the challenges of the path. Yeah, and cultivate greater wisdom, compassion, and resilience.
So it's like building up our inner fortitude,
Mhm.
our ability to face difficulties with courage and grace.
Exactly. The first strength listed is revolution through deeds, which suggests that our actions, when aligned with wisdom and compassion, have the power to create positive change in ourselves and the world around us.
So it's about putting our understanding into practice and making a difference through our words and deeds.
Precisely. It's about recognizing that we have the power to create a more just, compassionate, and awakened world through our choices and actions. And then the second strength is the torment of the defilements, which might sound a bit negative at first, but I think it's pointing to the importance of facing our shadow side, those parts of ourselves that hold us back and create suffering.
So it's about acknowledging our negative tendencies, our fears, our anger, our greed, and working to transform them.
Exactly. It's about recognizing that these defilements are not our enemies, but rather opportunities for growth and transformation. By facing them with courage and compassion, we can learn to free ourselves from their grip and cultivate greater peace and clarity.
This makes sense. It's like the saying, what we resist persists. By acknowledging our shadow side, we can begin to heal and transform it.
Precisely. And then the third strength is revolution through heedlessness of mind, which might sound a bit paradoxical, but I think it's pointing to the transformative power of mindfulness. By becoming aware of our, habitual patterns of thinking, we can break free from them and create new, more skillful ways of being.
So it's about using mindfulness to disrupt our autopilot and make conscious choices that are aligned with our values and aspirations.
Exactly. It's about cultivating a mindful awareness that allows us to see things more clearly and respond to challenges with greater wisdom and compassion.
This is really helpful. It makes me think about how we can develop these strengths in our own lives through practices like meditation, self-reflection, and ethical conduct.
Absolutely. It's a reminder that we have the inner resources to navigate the challenges of life and cultivate greater wisdom, compassion, and resilience. Now, Dharma 114 takes us to the three kinds of knowledge. We've talked about wisdom before, but how does knowledge differ from wisdom in this context?
Yeah, this is a bit confusing. What are these different types of knowledge, and how do they support our spiritual growth?
So I think of knowledge in this context as a specific type of understanding that supports our spiritual growth and, leads us towards wisdom. The first type of knowledge is undoubting, which refers to a firm conviction in the truth of the teachings,
Sure.
a deep trust in the path and the wisdom of those who have walked it before us.
So it's not about blind faith, but a trust that's grounded in understanding and personal experience.
Exactly. It's about cultivating a deep sense of confidence in the path and the transformative power of the Dharma. The second type of knowledge is awakening from the nation of doubt, which highlights the importance of, questioning inquiry and critical thinking. It's about engaging with the teachings intellectually and seeking clarity and understanding through, reasoned analysis.
So it's about using our intellect to sharpen our understanding and dispel any doubts or misconceptions we might have.
Precisely. It's about cultivating a discerning mind that can differentiate between skillful and unskillful views and make choices that are aligned with wisdom and compassion. And finally, we have a secret means to truth and welfare, which is, a bit more enigmatic. But I think it's pointing to a profound and transformative understanding that transcends the limitations of ordinary thought.
So it's like a deep, intuitive knowing,
Yeah.
a direct experience of truth that goes beyond words and concepts.
Exactly. It's a knowledge that is both liberating and beneficial, leading to both personal freedom and the well-being of all beings.
Okay, that's pretty mind-blowing. Now, Dharma 115 addresses the two obstructions. What are these obstacles, and how do they hinder our progress on the path?
So this Dharma identifies two key obstacles that, can block our path to greater wisdom, compassion, and freedom. The first is the obstruction of defilements, which refers to our negative emotions like, greed, hatred, and delusion.
So all those things that cloud our minds, distort our perceptions, and lead us astray.
Exactly. These defilements create a kind of internal turbulence that makes it difficult to see clearly and act skillfully. And then the second obstruction is the obstruction of what remains to be known, which, refers to our lack of complete understanding of the Dharma.
So even if we've managed to tame our negative emotions, we still need to cultivate wisdom and insight. It's not enough to just be a good person. We need to understand the nature of reality and the path to liberation.
Precisely. It's a reminder that the path to awakening requires both purification and realization. We need to both cleanse our minds of unwholesome qualities and cultivate wholesome qualities such as wisdom, compassion, and loving kindness.
Okay, this is starting to paint a comprehensive picture of the path and the challenges we face along the way. Now, Dharma 116 brings us to the two kinds of selflessnesses. This sounds like a very Buddhist concept. What does it mean to be selfless in this context?
So this is a core Buddhist teaching that challenges our, usual way of thinking about ourselves in the world. It's not about, denying our individuality or becoming doormats, but about recognizing the interconnected and impermanent nature of reality, including our own sense of self.
So it's about letting go of our attachment to a fixed and independent sense of self.
Exactly. So the first type of selflessness is the selflessness of all things, which refers to the understanding that all phenomena are impermanent and interdependent.
So everything is in constant flux, interconnected, and subject to change. Nothing exists in isolation or independently of everything else.
Precisely. This understanding challenges the notion that things have, an inherent independent existence. It's a radical shift in perspective that can liberate us from clinging and grasping, allowing us to experience greater peace and equanimity. And the second type of selflessness is the selflessness of people, which challenges the idea of a permanent, unchanging self or soul.
So even our sense of self is a construct, a collection of thoughts, feelings, and experiences that are constantly changing and evolving.
In a way, yeah. It's not that there's no self at all, but rather that our sense of self is a fluid and dynamic process, not a fixed entity.
Wow, that's a pretty radical idea. It makes me wonder how this understanding of selflessness impacts our interactions with others and our view of the world.
It has profound implications for how we live our lives, right? By recognizing our interconnectedness, we're more likely to act with compassion and care toward others. And by understanding the impermanence of all things, we're less likely to cling to, fleeting pleasures and material possessions. And by letting go of our attachment to a fixed sense of self, we open ourselves to greater freedom and joy.
This is really deep stuff. It's a reminder that the Dharma challenges us to think differently about ourselves and the world, to question our assumptions, and to embrace a more expansive and compassionate view of reality.
Absolutely. It's a journey of continuous learning, growth, and transformation.
Okay, let's move on to Dharma 117, which introduces the two kinds of requisites. What are these requisites, and why are they important for our spiritual development?
So this Dharma highlights, the two essential ingredients for spiritual growth and liberation. The first is the requisite of merit, which refers to the positive karma we accumulate through, virtuous actions, thoughts, and speech.
So it's about cultivating wholesome qualities and acting in ways that benefit ourselves and others.
Exactly. Merit creates a favorable environment for spiritual practice. It's like planting seeds in fertile soil. And then the second requisite is the requisite of knowledge, which refers to the wisdom and understanding we cultivate through, study, contemplation, and meditation.
So it's about understanding the nature of reality, the causes of suffering, and the path to liberation.
Precisely. Knowledge illuminates the path and guides our actions, like a lamp that dispels darkness.
This makes perfect sense. We need both the fuel of merit and the light of knowledge to navigate the path and reach our destination.
Exactly. They work together, creating a virtuous cycle that supports our spiritual growth and liberation. Now, we're nearing the end of this section, and Dharma 118 brings us to the 6 obstacles to concentration. We've talked about concentration before, but what are the specific obstacles that prevent us from developing a focused and clear mind?
Yeah, this is something I struggle with in my own meditation practice. My mind tends to wander all over the place. What are these internal saboteurs that we need to be aware of?
Okay, so this Dharma outlines 6 key obstacles that hinder our ability to, cultivate a calm and concentrated mind. The first one is indolence, which is basically laziness or lack of motivation.
Yeah.
It's that feeling of resistance we sometimes experience, when we try to sit down and meditate or engage in any kind of spiritual practice.
I know that feeling all too well. It's like that voice in my head that says, just 5 more minutes of scrolling through social media.
Exactly. It's about recognizing that resistance and, gently but firmly encouraging ourselves to show up and do the work. The second obstacle is conceit, which refers to, arrogance or an inflated sense of self-importance. It's that part of us that thinks we already know everything or that we're somehow better than others.
So that can block us from learning and growing because we're not open to new insights or feedback.
Absolutely. Humility is an essential quality on the spiritual path, a willingness to acknowledge that we still have much to learn. And then the third obstacle is deceit, which could refer to self-deception or dishonesty. It's about recognizing those times when we're not being truthful with ourselves or others, perhaps out of fear, shame, or a desire to protect our ego.
So authenticity and honesty are essential for spiritual growth. We can't make progress if we're not willing to face our own shadow side.
Exactly. The fourth obstacle is agitation, which, refers to mental restlessness and distraction. It's that monkey mind that jumps from thought to thought,
Yeah.
constantly seeking stimulation and entertainment.
Oh, I know that monkey mind all too well. It's like a wild animal that needs to be tamed.
Exactly. Mindfulness practice is essential for, calming the mind and cultivating greater focus and concentration. And then the fifth obstacle is lack of effort, which is pretty self-explanatory. It's about recognizing those times when we're not putting in the effort required to make progress on the path.
So it's about cultivating discipline, perseverance, and a willingness to do the work even when it's challenging.
Precisely. And the final obstacle is lack of truth, which could refer to a lack of clarity or understanding about the nature of reality and the path to liberation. It's about recognizing those areas where we need to deepen our understanding and continue to learn and grow.
So it's about cultivating a curious and inquiring mind, a willingness to question our assumptions and seek greater knowledge and wisdom.
Exactly. These 6 obstacles are not meant to discourage us, but to make us aware of the internal challenges we might face on the path. By recognizing them and developing skillful antidotes, we can create the conditions for greater peace, clarity, and liberation.
This is really helpful. I feel like I have a much better understanding of the obstacles that can arise in meditation and in life in general. It's reassuring to know that these challenges are not unique to me, but are common to all human beings. Now, Dharma 119 seems to offer some tools for overcoming these obstacles. It's called the 8 Practices for the Abandoning of Conditions. What are these practices, and how do they help us overcome the obstacles we've just discussed?
So this Dharma outlines 8 qualities we can cultivate to navigate the challenges of the path and create the conditions for, greater freedom and happiness. Think of these practices as antidotes to the 6 obstacles, tools we can use to cultivate a more balanced, peaceful, and awakened mind.
Okay, I'm ready to upgrade my toolkit. Let's dive into these 8 practices.
Okay, so the first practice is faith, which in this context doesn't refer to blind belief, but rather, a deep trust in the path, the teachings, and our own capacity for awakening. It's about having confidence in the transformative power of the Dharma and the possibility of liberation.
So it's about cultivating a sense of hope and inspiration, a belief that we can overcome the obstacles and realize our true potential.
Exactly. Faith gives us the courage to keep going even when the path is challenging. And then the second practice is intelligence, which emphasizes the importance of clear thinking, discernment, and critical analysis. It's about using our intellect to understand the teachings, question our assumptions, and make wise choices.
So it's about using our minds skillfully, both to study the teachings and to examine our own thoughts and behaviors.
Precisely. Intelligence helps us see things more clearly and make choices that are aligned with wisdom and compassion. The third practice is endeavor, which highlights the importance of effort, diligence, and perseverance.
So it's about putting in the work, showing up consistently, and not giving up on the path, even when we encounter difficulties.
Exactly. Endeavor is the fuel that propels us forward, the willingness to do what it takes to cultivate the qualities that lead to liberation. And then the fourth practice is calm, which refers to cultivating mental tranquility and stability.
So it's about taming that monkey mind we talked about earlier, learning to quiet the internal chatter and create a sense of inner peace.
Precisely. Calm creates a foundation for deeper insights and realizations. The fifth practice is mindfulness, which, emphasizes paying attention to the present moment without judgment.
So it's about cultivating a non-reactive awareness of our thoughts, feelings, and sensations without getting caught up in them or identifying with them.
Exactly. Mindfulness allows us to see things more clearly and respond to challenges with greater wisdom and compassion. And then the sixth practice is full knowledge, which points to developing a deep and comprehensive understanding of the Dharma.
So it's about going beyond intellectual knowledge to a deeper experiential understanding, a direct knowing that arises from practice and insight.
Yes. Full knowledge is the culmination of all the other practices. It's a deep and embodied understanding of the nature of reality and the path to liberation. And the seventh practice is intention, which, refers to setting clear and wholesome aspirations.
So it's about aligning our actions with our values and directing our energy toward the qualities we want to cultivate.
Precisely. Intention gives our practice direction and purpose. And then the final practice is equanimity, which is about cultivating a balanced and peaceful mind that is not disturbed by external circumstances.
So it's about developing a kind of inner stability that allows us to navigate the ups and downs of life with grace and ease.
Exactly. Equanimity is the fruit of all the other practices. It's a state of inner peace that is not dependent on external conditions.
Okay, this is really powerful stuff. It feels like we've been given a roadmap for navigating the challenges of life and cultivating the qualities that lead to greater freedom and happiness. It's inspiring to think that we have the power to transform our minds and create a more peaceful and compassionate world.
Absolutely. These 8 practices are not just abstract concepts, but tools we can use to create real and lasting change in our lives.
This has been an incredible journey so far. We've explored a wide range of topics, from the foundations of concentration to the obstacles we face on the path and the practices that can help us overcome them.
And we've still got more to go.
I know, right?
Yeah.
This Dharma collection is a treasure trove of wisdom. But for now, let's take a break. We'll be back soon to explore the final set of Dharmas in this deep dive.
Don't go anywhere. We'll be right back to uncover even more insights from the Dharma collection. Welcome back. We're going to continue our deep dive into Dharmas 101 through 120.
I'm ready for more. Before the break, we were just starting to talk about Dharma 120 and the 4 continents. Can you refresh my memory on what those represent?
Yeah, so in Buddhist cosmology, the 4 continents are these symbolic representations of different realms of existence. And they're not supposed to be taken literally as like physical places, but more like metaphors for different states of being, different possibilities for spiritual growth and evolution.
So like a map of the inner landscape, the different realms of consciousness that we can explore.
Yeah, exactly. Each continent kind of represents a different level of awareness, a different way of experiencing reality.
All right, I'm ready to explore. Tell me about each continent.
Okay, so the first one is Purva Videha. It's located in the east, and it's described as a realm of long life and abundance where people are naturally virtuous and happy.
Sounds idyllic. So it's like a utopian society,
Yeah.
a place where suffering is minimal and people live in harmony with nature.
Exactly. Purva Videha represents a higher state of being, a realm where we've transcended many of the limitations and challenges that we experience in our current existence.
That's inspiring.
Yeah.
What about the second continent?
Okay, so the second one is Jambudvipa, which is located in the center. And this is the realm where we humans currently reside.
Okay.
A world characterized by impermanence, duality, and both suffering and joy.
Right, the realm where we work out our karma,
All right.
face those challenges that lead to growth and awakening.
Precisely. Jambudvipa is a realm of both opportunity and challenge, a place where we can either get caught up in that suffering or we can use it as a catalyst for transformation.
Makes sense. It's not about denying suffering, but about learning to use it skillfully as fuel for growth. All right, what about the third continent?
Okay, so the third one is Apargadhanani, which is located in the west. And this one is described as a realm of greater suffering and difficulty. People there have shorter lifespans and face more challenges.
So it's like a reminder that not all realms are created equal,
Yeah.
and that we have a precious opportunity to practice the Dharma
Yeah.
and to, create the conditions for a more favorable rebirth.
Yeah, that's one way to look at it. Aparigodhanani serves as a stark contrast to Purva Videha, right? Reminding us of the importance of making skillful choices and cultivating wholesome qualities.
It makes you think about cause and effect and how our actions create our experience. Okay, what about that final continent?
Okay, so the final one is Uttarakurudvipa, which is located in the north. And this one's often depicted as kind of a utopian land, a realm of perfect virtue and happiness. And the people there are said to be naturally enlightened.
Wow, so like the ultimate destination, right?
Yeah.
The realm of perfect peace, wisdom, and liberation.
Yeah, you could say that Uttarakurudvipa represents the ultimate goal of the spiritual path, that realization of our full potential as awakened beings.
Okay, so these four continents, they're not meant to be taken literally, but rather as these symbolic representations of the different possibilities that exist within us. Right?
Exactly.
They remind us that we have the potential to create a more peaceful, joyful, and awakened world, both for ourselves and for all beings.
Yes.
Well, this has been fascinating. But, as we're exploring these dharmas and we're talking about these different stages of spiritual development, it can all sound a bit intimidating, especially for someone who's new to Buddhism. What would you say to someone who's feeling overwhelmed by all this talk of enlightenment?
That's a great question. I think it's important to remember that, the path is a journey. It's not a destination.
Yeah.
It's not about achieving some perfect state of enlightenment overnight, but it's about taking small steps each day, cultivating those wholesome qualities and just gradually transforming our minds and hearts.
So it's about progress, not perfection.
Exactly. And it's not a solo journey either. We have the teachings to guide us, we have the support of a community, and the inspiration of all those who've walked this path before us.
It's not about becoming a superhuman, but about realizing our full potential as human beings.
Precisely. And even small steps can make a big difference. Like just cultivating a little more mindfulness in our daily lives, practicing kindness towards ourselves and others, making an effort to understand the teachings. All these things contribute to our growth and well-being.
It's about incorporating the teachings into our lives in a way that feels authentic and sustainable for each of us as individuals.
Yeah, exactly. And that's what's so beautiful about the Dharma. It's not like a rigid dogma. It's a flexible and adaptable path that can meet us wherever we are on our journey.
This has been such a rich and rewarding deep dive. We've covered so much. I feel like we've only just begun to scratch the surface.
Oh, yeah, I know, right? There's always more to learn, more to explore, more to embody. The Dharma is like an inexhaustible wellspring of wisdom. Each time we return to it, we discover new insights and deepen our understanding.
Well, it's a lifelong journey, and I'm personally incredibly grateful to be on it. I hope our listeners feel the same way.
I hope so, too. And if this deep dive has sparked your curiosity or inspired you to learn more, I encourage you to, keep exploring. There are so many wonderful resources available, from books and articles to online courses and meditation centers.
The Dharma is a living tradition.
Yeah.
And it thrives on engagement and exploration and practice.
Yeah.
So keep learning, keep growing, and keep shining your light. Thanks for joining us on this deep dive into Dharmas 101 to 120. Until next time, keep seeking, keep questioning, and keep diving deep.
Take care.